How's it going, everybody? It's me, once again. I had to make something to, make up for my last video, because, man, I could not have been more wrong on that. I tried to predict something, and I was so confident about it, and I think, like, the next day, it was completely proven wrong. It was fun entertaining the thought that I may get a second Darkface stride, but it doesn't look like that anymore. Anyway, so, what I want to talk about today is, well, this big, beautiful beast on the screen here, or, well, the deck around him, which is going to be Giraffa. So, ever since Giraffa got support, everybody has kind of been gravitated to it, because Giraffa, especially art-wise, really stands out among everything else. Everything has this color palette of, like, greens and blacks and, like, some blues, and it's all very, like, very set colors for Mega Colony. But Giraffa always had this big yellow, gold, and blue kind of like bright color mixture, and he looks really neat. But unfortunately, up to this point, wasn't that great, and in my opinion, still really isn't. It's a very interesting deck because it doesn't play like a Mega Colony deck does. It almost plays like some weird sub version of like a Kagero deck or something. Like it's weird. It's hard to, if you haven't played the deck before, it's very hard to explain. So, what I'm going to talk about is what the deck could use to improve, and not only predictions, but what I would do if I had to add some additions onto this clan, because onto this archetype, because I mean, to start out with, I don't think Giraffe really had any business getting any support. I mean, no business at all getting support. I don't know why they did that. Bushiroad, I guess, to just add a little more life to these clans, did something that I do appreciate, where they're adding support to everything. All the little sub-clan or subdivisions within it, for most decks anyway, are getting support. So, you know, I do appreciate Steel Dragons getting support. I appreciate Hyaki Vogue getting support. I appreciate Hamskay getting support. Giraffa, not so much, because I don't like ride chains. I've never liked ride chains. I don't like the idea of my deck potentially bricking turn one if I don't ride a certain card. Now, I don't understand we got like what his name is, Giraffa, but it's still a chance to not ride him, and it still happened before, and it still fucked me over. I don't like that. But the deck looks cool, and I do enjoy playing it for the most part, especially because it's cheap. It's not very demanding of a deck if you want to build it, unless you're, you know, obviously going to invest in like Obturandus or whatever, but that's up to you. So, this deck, what would it need? Because right off the bat, I'm going to say it's pure aggression. So, what it would need would be something completely set aside from other Mega Colony decks. The biggest thing being that this deck pushes for numbers, and we need something that kind of abuses those numbers. I feel like something like Machining Mosquito Mark 2, which was obviously part of Machinings, the card's effect was kind of wasted on Machinings, because Machining doesn't have a ton of aggression. It's not an aggressive deck. It's a slow pick away deck. I mean, if you saw the episode where Machining made like a brief cameo a couple weeks ago, I mean, it described it perfectly. The kid strides into Machining Destroyer, he paralyzes Chronojet Dragon, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna take this nice and slow, and that's basically the deck. This deck would have taken a skill like Mosquito, which is once it attacks, it can against 2k, I think, if everything's at rest, and if it hits, stand a unit and then paralyze one of your opponent's units. That would have been so appreciated in this deck, because that would have been so good for something like this, because you have Goliath, which gives every 6 Giraffa units, which, I mean, it's the max you can do. 6 Giraffa units plus 5k. And, I mean, it just helps out with pushing for stupid numbers, and making them, you know, harder to block, and with a card that's like on hit restand, that'd be really good. So something that would kind of emulate that for the grade 2 lamp would be great. Obviously you're kind of shackled to the 4 Gira, 4 Elite. So something that would be like a 3 or 4 of on top of that would have been really helpful. You know, right now if you're running the Darkface variant, which is the one I run, which I feel like is the superior one, that rather than just pure Giraffa, you would be running like 3 Punish Stag or 3 Sweet Cocktail if that's more your thing. I wouldn't recommend that, but and if you're running pure Giraffa, then you would run like 3 Sweet Cocktail, because Counterblast aren't really used a ton in that variant. But the direction that I like with this deck is that Sand Giraffa here has the ability where on hit, counterblast 1, you choose a unit and you paralyze it. And if they remove it, if it goes from the guard or rear to the drop zone, they have to retire another card with it, and that is a huge detriment. Especially in a deck where they have to retire cards, so like, you know, like Tachikaze is like, okay, I'm going to wipe my board and refill it. That's great, but you have to kill something else off with it. So, you know, your cost is going to have a little extra thing added onto it. And personally, I love that. So, if they're going to go in another direction with this, it really needs to be expanding upon that. If we have another stride, whether it's like a Sand Giraffa stride or just like another generic Giraffa stride, it would have to be something that does what Sand Giraffa does, like on a grand scale. Like Counterblast 2, choose 3 units and they all gain that skill, or, you know, something like that. Or, you know, they can't retire this unit unless they retire another one. Because I think Sand Giraffa leaves it open to, if they retire it, then they have to, but like, no, like, I would like it to be reversed. Like, you have to retire a unit first, then you can get rid of this unit. So, that would be very much appreciated in a deck like this. And really, we have everything we need as far as power goes, because Goliath potentially just gives plus 10k to a whole entire column. Again, our grade 1 lineup is pretty shackled, pretty, pretty tight. You know, you have to have 4 perfect guards. You have to have 4 Trigol. At least I think you have to have 4 Trigol. You have to have 4 Pupa. So, I mean, your grade 1 lineup is already kind of decided for you. And Trigol in himself is an amazing card. That card breaks the deck. Not breaks it, but it makes the deck as good as it is, or, you know, keeps it where it's at. So, you know, any way to abuse Trigol would be great. So, you know, like I said before, a new stride and possibly a new grade 3 to replace the original Giraffa. Again, this is assuming you're just running pure Giraffa, so, you know, the old Giraffa doesn't do anything. It's a 10k base. It does absolutely nothing except for make like another Giraffa brick. You know, it keeps the name and you can throw it on rear. But I would prefer something that would have more of a place on the Vanguard circle rather than just hoping you red Sand Giraffa purely because he has 11k base. So I'd appreciate that, because a lot of clans seem to be getting more stride bearers, I like to call them, more stride-based grade 3s. And not just like the, you know, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1 cards. I mean, like, things like, Call for Reform Gear Eagle, or, what the hell's his name again? Ephemeral Wand Dragon. From Gear Chronicle. They're both meant for Chronos Command. I would love something akin to that for this deck. So something that's like, on stride, flip a Mega Colony unit in your G-Zone, your Vanguard gains plus 10,000, and if this hits, paralyze 2 cards and they can't stand. Something like that. Or again, if we're going the aggression route, it wouldn't be uncalled for to have a card that limits guarding. And I don't like to say that a lot with Mega Colony, especially because it's really out of the ordinary. I would be very surprised if we ever, in the next few years at least, if the entire Stride format, basically, if we ever got a Guard Nullifier. It's never happened. We're lucky to even get something that has a crit. I think in the entire Mega Colony lineup, there's only one card that even has the crit symbol and the effect, and that's Hercules Beetle, I think. I could be horribly wrong about that, actually, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was. And so it would be nice to see that come back in the form of a Giraffa Stride. And just because Giraffa is so outside the box from the rest of the Mega Colony clans. I mean, you know, Machining, it stuns the Vanguard. Dark Base, it controls the board a lot better. Giraffa is just pure aggression, and I do appreciate that. I really wish that was given to more of the Mega Colony units. I really wish there were more like Staggle Dipper-esque cards in the lineup. But yeah, all in all, like, it's hard to say what a Stride would do. I can name off a million effects, but you know, some of them would be really unrealistic, and some can be perfectly reasonable. But there's always a flaw that I always find with trying to predict exact effects of cards that we don't even know are ever going to be released. But Goliath is a really good look into what they wanted to do with this deck, because as they add more and more support to it, because I think we're we have everything announced up until August. So until then, maybe September. I'm not sure. So from September on, if I'm remembering it correctly, we should hopefully get Mega Colony support in that little gap. I really wish you'd get some sooner. We are getting something in the Fighters Collection, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm waiting on bated breath at this point. You know, as soon as Romeo Labyrinth is done being announced, I think that's when they're going to start on the Fighters Collection stuff. And man, I'm really looking forward to that. I don't think it's going to be a clan-specific stride. Excuse me. I don't think it's going to be a archetype or sub-clan specific stride, because so far from what we've had released, none of it has been. Amaterasu, my reasoning behind that is because everything that has been released, what's being released in the set is a grade 4, a heal trigger with an effect, and a G Guardian with, obviously with I don't know if the effect ties in with the heal or if it's just the art that ties in with it, but if you've noticed, the heal on the G Guardians on most of the arts have been the same character. So that gives me no reason to believe that anything that's being released is going to be archetype or subclan specific, because and all the time they have done that, they've only done it when they can release additional support with it. So like an Amaterasu specific stride really wouldn't make sense because there aren't a lot of I don't think there are any Amaterasu specific cards other than herself and her Legion. There wouldn't be, the Blazing Flare stride wouldn't be Blazing Flare specific because there's nothing else coming out for it that is Blazing Flare specific unless they somehow want to make like the G Guardian and then like the one effect heal in the entire clan be specific to one card. That would make a lot of sense. So I highly doubt that the Mega Colony card coming out is going to be Giraffa. I'm actually going to make another video talking about that as well because it's something that I've been really, really interested in kind of analyzing and trying to figure out. But yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. If there are any ideas for how to expand Giraffa. Honestly, if I was going to just say like what I would do in full, I would gut the entire ride chain out and just make a whole new line of cards. But that obviously wouldn't happen, and I'm trying to stay very realistic with this. So, in conclusion, I would love a grade 3 that's like akin to Ephemeral Wand Dragon, where, it's like a second stride bearer. I would love something to replace my final grade 2 in that lineup. And all in all, it's just a stride to really capitalize on the whole, you have to retire something else to retire this paralyzed unit ability. I feel like that would be, that would be phenomenal. That would be almost, I don't want to say, well, I don't want to say anything too overzealous, but it would be something to something to have over lock, because Mega Colony always has the stigma of being a worse lock for many reasons, especially because you can just call over it. So to push that narrative of you cannot retire this unless you retire something else, or you have to take 2 to get rid of 1. That would be amazing, and that would be something that would really make this clan, or the sub-clan, really worth using. Because right now, it's really only just like a novelty thing. It's cute to use, the art's cool, but, obviously there's no point in running that over like a Darkface deck, or even machining, because they have significantly better advantages over Darkface other than, or Giraffa, other than like a better column setup. But, even then, it's like, really, what is that compared to what is a rush deck that loses its ability to paralyze consistently over something that can have slightly weaker columns but can control the board better? That's just my opinion on it, but let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys later. Next up will most likely either be a deck profile of my Darkface deck or a video kind of trying to figure out what the next stride is going to be, but I'll wait till more is announced on that. So until next time, I will see you guys later.